Thank you. I happened to be in Syria on March the 18th, 2011. I was stood in that very building you saw earlier on, looking at John the Baptist's head that was inside the tomb, and some wonderful Byzantine mosaics there. Next day, I couldn't go through Dara to get to Jordan as planned because they said there'd been a few problems there. We're now over 5 years since then, and the worst humanitarian crisis of our time we have. The picture looks pretty bleak. There's 13.5 million in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. There seems to be no end in sight for the children. Their lives, their homes, their families are torn apart. We're having to give a lot of psychological help as well as physical, because the scars are already running deep. Narian, who you can see there, some of the names have been changed for obvious reasons. He's 2.5, eats bread whilst staring out of the family's tent in a camp for displaced people on the northern Syrian border. Since 2011, an average of 50 Syrian families have been displaced every hour, every day. 250,000 people have been killed. There's 7.5 million children in Syria growing up not knowing anything but conflict. 1 in 4 at risk of developing mental disorders, and 70% of the population are without regular access to safe drinking water. Inside Syria, hundreds of thousands of civilians are living under siege, effectively in open-air prisons. Food, medicine, fuel, other vital supplies have been prevented from entering. And the shelling has destroyed the infrastructure, and the children are facing chronic malnutrition, serious illness, psychological trauma. So we do whatever it takes to save children's lives. So what has been our response so far? Child protection is a major thing that we handle in all emergencies. We run 16 child-friendly spaces in Syria where more than 10.5 children have been attending. And they're very, very valuable things to do in emergencies, is to get children back to the life they had and back to a normality. So to provide spaces where they are safe and can play with other children is a very, very inexpensive but essential part of rehabilitating children. We also run similar ones in Jordan, Lebanon, Iraq, Egypt and Turkey, not mentioning the rest of the world. These children here are Syrians, and they are in a family-friendly place in Syria, in Egypt. We train community members on child rights and protection. Yusuf, on the left here, fled Syria when he was 5. He's currently 8. And his mother said that after he joined the Save the Children activities, he changed. He has more confidence, made friends, and become much more social. We run interactive sessions with children, teaching teamwork and telling them their rights. This picture's at one of our centres in Syria where children perform a play that they wrote themselves about their lives. And it finishes with all the children saying they hope that soon kites will cover the sky with bright colours and the laughter of children will fill the air with joy. Education is important, and it's very important in emergencies to get children back to normality and to continue some sort of education. We're currently supporting 55 schools in northern Syria. We've trained about 1,000 teachers in the skills that they need to support distressed children and how to adapt their lessons appropriately. And we have all sorts of informal educational facilities in the region. We're helping in Jordan, families understand the education system. We're helping in Lebanon, where less than 20% of Syrian children are enrolled. In Iraq, we provide catch-up classes, and in Egypt, we're providing school kits to newly displaced children to get them studying again. Samer here has lived, he's 6 and has lived at the Zatari camp in Jordan for 3 years. He suffers from a stammer as a result of oxygen shortage at birth, and he finds it difficult to articulate. Our centres focus on children's cognitive and social and emotional well-being. We're supporting 5 healthcare facilities and a 24-hour emergency care hospital for pregnant women in Syria. And we run hygiene awareness sessions to help families remain clean and healthy. And in the rest of the region, we're running health promotion workshops. These Syrian women here are in Lebanon, and they're also learning positive parenting. Power cuts, fuel shortages, and supply route disruption leave communities without access to any clean water. And much as we do around the rest of the world, we construct and refurbish water points, train hygiene volunteers, refurbish supplies to school, and we work with partners to bring water to harder-to-reach villages. I don't think that photograph is actually in Syria, but that's an example of our work. Now, the struggle for enough food increases daily. In 35 locations, we are providing families with regular food parcels. In other areas, we're providing vouchers to allow seed planting for families with unstable livelihoods. We have nutrition centres in 11 camps and villages. And elsewhere in the region, we're supplying bread rations for 80,000 people at the Zara camp in Jordan. We're doing food vouchers and school meals in Jordan. We're doing monthly cash transfers to families in Lebanon for food and other essentials. We're trying a pilot scheme of cash assistance for struggling families in Iraq. And we're getting emergency cash assistance to vulnerable refugees' families in Egypt. Now, millions fled from Syria without their possessions and live in very precarious situations. We are distributing essentials, clothes, blankets, kitchen sets, hygiene kits, providing transitional shelter for thousands, testing new installation kits in Lebanon. The tents out there for the refugees are very, very hot in summer and also very, very cold in winter. And we're trying a new insulation kit. We're expecting the results of that trial shortly. In Iraq and Turkey in particular, we've been distributing winter kits. Now, Yara, who's 7, and brother Laith is 2, are in a child family centre in Egypt, where activities include health awareness sessions, drawing, art classes, drama classes, handicraft, and sports. Again, getting children back to as normal a life as possible. Now, this lady, Rana, here, is a lone mother of 6, and she fled Syria 2 years ago, and they now live in Jordan. She struggled to provide for them even basic food and clothing, and she thought that maybe marrying off her 16-year-old daughter, Mara, would help. Neighbours suggested she register with Save the Children Child and Family Centre, and through going through a workshop empowering home-bound girls through life skills, productive health and social awareness, Rana and her daughter took part. It convinced her of her mistake. So she now realises that her daughter can actually help support her in the household. And it's one of many success stories. There are many, many stories of families in the region that we've helped and children that we've reached. And there's a lot of success and a lot of stories, but there's so much, much more to do. It is a huge, huge problem. The number of people displaced by the Syrian war now numbers more than the last 20 years of emergencies all put together. Thank you.